Vurntulu was known as the wisest caterpillar of Winston because he had the fanciest fur and could spin the softest sheets. He spent his nights hanging upside down in the most interesting trees, eating everyone's favorite leafy greens. Though humble and handsome, he was as lonely as one could be, and he dreamed of one day setting eyes on a caterpillar who was as beautiful could be. He prayed all day, hoping the great brownies would hear his words, so they could cure him of his saddest songs. One night in his sleep he heard the murmur of a golden sheep. When he opened his eyes, this creature smiled and offered him its fleece. This was the day he knew the brownies had heard his cries, and to his delight, they would soon be guiding his heart away from his painful fire to a place that was safe and free. Two brownies did hear his cries, though they were distracted by the flavor of two bowls of soup made from bits of chocolate and an old pair of shoes. The caterpillar's tears did not fall on deaf ears. They knew at that very moment what needed to be done. The two would have to pack up their gear, kiss their wives goodbye, and start their journeys so they could help a hurting spirit live their best life. The two little brownies, Bogum and Ben, traveled across the desert of delicious treats. On their way, they stopped at the oasis of Overmany to eat a few snacks from their packs. After their tummies were filled with scrumptious bits and things, they climbed back on their clacko caterpillar and continued on their way. Though no larger than a bratwurst, the creature was bigger than a bulky hog compared to Bogum and Ben. It was furry and made funny sounds as it walked into every town, and it always became the talk of everyone around. This incredible beast of burden was once used by the thorn topper tribe of Wiggly Wham, and this group of peaceful people loved this kind of caterpillar more than bakers love the flavor of pie. It was yellowy green, and though it didn't have a face, it was always happy as can be. All over its back were spindles that were often covered in tasty snacks. But the quality the brownies loved most was how the caterpillar's feet were sticky enough to climb any tree. Today there were no trees, but the dunes were too soft for the brownies to walk on without sinking to their knees. So the caterpillar was essential indeed. Bogum and Ben sang songs about silly things and birds who were once mean but learned how to live with glee. Something interesting the Fae often noted about the brownie species is that though they had little fists, they were pacifists and would never fight, even if that meant they could lose their own life. The desert came to an end as patches of grass became splotchy places like tufts of a bald man's hair. Over time, the occasional spaces became a toupee of green sheets as flora became the wild floor everywhere. In the distance, Bogum and Ben noticed the forest of rosy waters on the horizon. It was a red woodland inhabited by bandits and bears, but the two were not scared. Though they appeared to be experienced travelers, they were more naive than most. This was one of the many reasons brownies often became the dessert for monsters when they went out on their own. The two had been traveling all day, except for their stay in the oasis of Overmany. Though slightly rested before, they were now ready to have a few snores. They unpacked their stuff, set up their camp, and laid down for a much-needed rest. Neither one thought it would be a good idea to keep at least one eye open during the night. If Bogum was awake, he would have heard the rustling grass beside the sack under his head. He would have seen the shadow cast over his chest. If he was not in a deep sleep, he would have felt the little feet walk up his sleeve, and he would have had the chance to stand and prance away at the sight of the things snuggling against his feet. He didn't notice any of these things. So when he awoke with a yawn, he was startled to see a strange-looking wicker basket leaning against his toes. Hey, Ben, is that your llama shaped basket? Bogum tossed a piece of bread onto him. Ben woke with sleep in his eyes and tried to clean them out to adequately see the morning scene. No, I don't own a whisker basket. I only have ones that were made by Wilson. Are you a thing or are you a person? Bogum moved his feet to see what it was that was laying against his toes. The llama shaped wicker basket moved his head to look at Bogum and he spoke. My name is Wadwernta. I'm not quite a person or a thing. Okay. Do you want to be friends? Bogum asked with a grin. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Wadwernta's wicker ears moved and twitched, showcasing its genuine interest. That's great. Bogum rubbed his hands together with a smile. What are you guys doing out here? Wadwernta asked. I'm looking for Vurntulu, the wisest caterpillar of Winston. He has the fanciest fur and is known for spinning the softest sheets. We believe we can retrieve him and help him fall in love. This Claco caterpillar is named Rapudad. She is the friendliest and most attractive lady caterpillar of the land. Ben and I would love to introduce them to see if any stars flutter and fly like glowing butterflies in the night. Bogum replied with an excited smile. Bogum, Ben, and Wadwernta walked together, creating tiny footsteps in the dirt. While Wadwernta was mostly silent, the two talked about their favorite color of skirt. They hoped to one day create something their wives would treasure for the rest of their lives, and this kept them happy as they rode on the caterpillar for the rest of the ride. Wadwernta had no interest in a wife. It wanted to travel the lands to meet and greet the fascinating things with hands, maybe even join a group of warriors to create an adventuring band.